trigonometric identities, iambic pentameter, the incorporation clause of the 14th Amendment, lone pairs of electrons. Each phrase triggers memories of confusion, frustration, and sometimes pure joy when we understood the concepts. Just 3 weeks ago, my brain was struggling to picture countable and uncountable infinities in my calculus class. But today, we are here joyously here to celebrate our graduation. Seniors, teachers, and parents, we've made it. Let's be honest, most of us seniors have annoyed our parents at least once with this question. Why do we have to learn all this? Well, today's society will tell us that the pursuit of knowledge can help yield wealth, power, and others' respect. But the daunting fact is that pursuing knowledge devoid of God is equivalent to getting a head start in the rat race of life, purposeless and mindless. The wisdom of this world is folly with God. So why do Christians pursue knowledge? To put it simply, knowledge is a precious gift from God. Everything we have learned and will continue to learn resonates within us because we are fearfully and wonderfully created to know God intimately. Through the creation of the world, we can perceive his invisible qualities, namely his eternal nature and the eternal power and divine nature. Another misconception exists that those who follow Christ should take ignorant, blind leaps of faith with beliefs unconfirmed by human knowledge. Yet, this is completely contrary to biblical teaching. We need to be equipped to serve our communities and country in love. We need to be ready to answer those who question our beliefs and give a reason for the hope that is in us. As John Calvin said, faith consists not in ignorance, but in knowledge, and that not only of God, but of the divine will. At this day of celebration, I believe I speak for many when I say how blessed we are to have spent time at Trinity, where administrators hold to the belief that knowledge from above should thoroughly permeate us and transform us. Their weekly chapels challenge us to think critically about how we perceive the world. We are encouraged to ask questions about our faith in our classrooms. And all knowledge that we attain is firmly grounded in the Word. The deeper I delve into all subjects, the more humbled in awe I become at the majesty of our God. Thus, knowledge transforms us to become God's ambassadors through our deeds and our actions. This is best exemplified in our teachers at Trinity. They would selflessly offer up precious weekends to hold study sessions, and most importantly, offer food. They would pray with us before tests, reminding us where our true focus should lie. They would lift their heads up even after an exhausting day and greet us with love and kindness. As we proudly sit here on stage, our graduation caps attest to the 12 seemingly endless years spent in the pursuit of learning. We are standing at life's crossroads, and these caps also represent our titles of stewards. It is easy to forget to thank our parents for sacrificing so much to bring us to this point. It is easy for us to take our education at a Christian institute for granted. Truth is, words cannot describe how much the Lord has blessed all of us abundantly at Trinity with knowledge of his majestic creativity, his truth, and his saving grace. We are stewards, prepared to face the future with hearts passionate for the gospel, and we are gifted with knowledge from above. But from us to whom God entrusted so much, God will demand the more. So in order to step into the world as salt and light, we need to cherish wisdom and knowledge and to use it wisely. No longer does the concept of knowledge seem boring and dry. I mean, people in my chemistry class learned how not to use chemistry equipment after I broke a beaker and a funnel within an interval of 10 minutes. We've learned that one does not simply circle Igmar Woodchuck on Mr. Phillips' tests. We've learned that who Rosencrantz is, but we would all still like to meet Miss J's Gideon. But most importantly, Knowledge allows us to deeply relate with God, and it transforms us to the likeness of Christ when we seek to know the Creator more. God has entrusted us with the gift of knowledge to us stewards, and we know that our faith is unshakable. The Apostle Paul, in his letter to the church at Philippi, said, "And it is my prayer that your love may abound more and more with knowledge and all discernment, so that you may approve what is excellent, and so be pure and blameless for the day of Christ, filled with the fruits of righteousness that comes through Christ Jesus to the glory and praise of God." May we seek, too, to apply God's gift of knowledge in such a way to our lives and to give all the glory to God. Thank you.
Well, good morning, administration, faculty, family, friends, guests, and members of the class of 2014. I'm honored to be standing here today, by no means a model, but a representative of the incredible character many of my classmates maintain. Unfortunately, it would be impossible for me to individually highlight all of the positive character traits held by my peers. However, I can say with confidence that this class of 2014 truly embodies good character through maintaining integrity, service, humility, patience, and forgiveness. 1 Corinthians 15:33 says, "Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character." Thankfully, Trinity and its students have maintained an environment of good company, fertile for cultivating great character. My favorite Bible verse, Psalm 19:14 says, "Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer." It is interesting how this verse addresses the simultaneous harmony of the two necessary components of good character. This verse does not merely suggest the union of the inner and outer elements of good character, it necessitates it. Additionally, it emphasizes that the inner character, being the meditations of our hearts, is just as necessary as the outer, the words of our mouths. On the topic of character, it is necessary to point to the perfect exemplar, Jesus Christ. C.S. Lewis once wrote in his 1960 work, The Four Loves, that "We are mirrors whose brightness is wholly derived from the sun that shines upon us." In addition, he wrote in Mere Christianity that there is but one good, that is God. Everything else is good when it looks to him and bad when it turns from him. These quotes serve to ultimately show that any amount of good character must be attributed to God and to his characteristics. Associating good character with anything other than God and the God of the Bible brings motive, cause, and intent into the question, ultimately directing others away from the source of all good. Many of us have faced extreme hardships this year, pushing our character to the limit. Some have been dealing with intensely prolonged illnesses, family deaths and other strife, balancing family situations, and working through the challenges of mixing current academics with college preparation. Through each part of this very difficult senior year, the class of 2014 displayed many of the positive character traits presented through Christ. Often, people will not remember the words you speak. They will rarely remember your expansive vocabulary, the elegance of your language, or even your overall message. However, people do remember character that stands out. They will feel an impact based on great character. I am proud to attend a school where academics are strong, but the pursuit of good character remains as the priority. We are fortunate enough to have dedicated and spiritually mature faculty as helpful examples of godly character. Again, I quote C.S. Lewis. He brilliantly wrote in the Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian, "Isn't it funny how day by day nothing changes, but when you look back, everything is different?" So, Trinity Christian School, class of 2014, I encourage you, myself included, to work with due diligence to look back on these next 4 years of college and be able to say that our character, day by day, was transformed more and more into the likeness of Christ. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you all for the opportunity to speak on service. When I mentioned the time requirement to my parents, their response was, well, you know, it may be 4 to 5 minutes, but no one would be upset by 3.5. So I may try not to follow Dr. Vanderpool's example on this one, particularly since I lack his eloquence and vocabulary. Some of my peers have completed hundreds of hours of community service in this year alone. Others of them serve in 1,000 subtle ways every day. Still others sacrifice themselves in leadership positions to serve the rest of us. Every member of this graduating class has earned my appreciation and respect by looking past that all-consuming me to meet the needs of others. Their examples help me understand the servant attitude I am called to imitate in Jesus Christ. From them, I have learned 3 things about service. 1, service is humble. As Christ washed the feet of his disciples, he taught that to serve is to cheerfully humiliate yourself for the edification of others. There is nothing more humble than devoting your whole mind, body, and heart to improving the mind, body, and heart of someone else. 2, service is loving. Without love, we accomplish nothing, regardless of our wisdom, talent, intelligence, loyalty, and even, yes, our self-sacrifice. But service is inherently loving because it is the activity or expression of love. Whatever you love, you will serve. This would imply we ought to spend our entire selves serving God alone, but he always seems to involve the people around us. That same dignity, majesty, and community which inspires us to love other people must lead to our serving them, or it is worthless. 3, service is significant. It is helpful and affirming to the person served, but it also rewards the servant. Whoever is concerned for his legacy or contemplates the future he will never see knows that all we do for ourselves will die with us. But service does not die because it is greater than any single man. When we humble ourselves and lovingly act for the benefit of someone else, we commit a piece of ourselves to something larger than us, or rather to that us which is larger than me. This means something now, and it will mean something in the future, which no cheap philosophy, passing depression, or personal failure can take away. Significance is not as much an inherent attribute of service as it is a degree to which we can serve. Like the widow who gave her farthing outdoing the rich who donated bags of gold, it is not necessarily the quantity of service that matters. Service is significant when we have to sacrifice for its accomplishment. So let us serve God and others significantly. Many classmates have served me in my years at Trinity, but I want to focus on a specific example. I played basketball for the school sophomore year. Given the athleticism and dedication of my teammates, it was not particularly surprising that I played right bench. However, the guys on the team who might have been the most proud of this situation instead humbled themselves and encouraged the rest of us to strive for excellence. I remember Alex Glennis, John Foster, and Andrew Fuller in particular kept me laughing through a week of especially frustrating games, probably without even realizing it. This may sound simple, and I guess it is, but it was an act of service that encouraged me. It reminded me to enjoy life in the present situation and shifted my focus towards God. In my experience, this improved perspective is always the result of being served significantly. I believe this personal growth is reason enough to allow others to serve you, but it is worth mentioning that sometimes the most helpful thing a servant can do is appreciate someone else serving him. In that way, both sides grow. The dictionary can help me define service in a conceptual way, but John, Alex, and Andrew allow me to define service the other possible way, which I remember from 8th grade logic as being by example. Typically, when defining by example, it is necessary to give at least 3 illustrations. Class of 2014, my honest hope for us is that going forward, anyone who meets at least 3 of us can define service by our examples. God help us with that goal.